lots of established boys doing some really great work. So that's kind of the nature of the beast when you're a top, a premiership team.
Exactly. But what better place to learn the craft anyway, mate? Let's keep the show moving. Let's talk about some Cats predictions for 2023. Now, would you like to start, or would you? Because the first one I want to talk about is where you think the Cats will finish on the ladder, not what the end result's going to be. I've kind of back and forth this a little bit over the last few weeks, and I did put a show out a while back and had some did my ladder then. But I'm allowed to change my mind. I'm allowed to change my mind on these things.
He's decided to put Essendon first on the ladder now.
No, I haven't. No, but let's keep it on Geelong for the time being. So where do you think the Cats will finish on the ladder? Not about the end result, not about grand finals or anything like that, but where do you think we'll finish at the end of the home and away?
I reckon they'll be finishing second.
Second, okay.
I'm expecting the D's will probably get the mojo back a bit this year. I do think the Cats are the front runner still overall, which I guess shows my hand for the next section. But the D's will get their mojo back, and we still have the knack of just dropping a cheap one here there. We do from time to time.
D's have a knack of dropping half a season, some from time to time as well, like they did last year. But I imagine that they would have fixed a few things in the off season. Look, I've got the Cats coming fifth. I haven't changed my position on that one. I reckon still 16, 17 wins. There's an extra game this year, so that's probably would have got you a top four last year. But I think we'll really be managing some players, and we'll be taking a few extra losses for that reason. So I think fifth. Your result at the end of the season on grand final day. I'm not saying you've picked Geelong to make the grand final. Maybe
no, we're celebrating.
We're celebrating. Okay, so Geelong's winning the grand final. We're finishing second.
Yeah. And the depth is there. So I mean, we've just kind of highlighted as we've gone through the team there. Obviously, this is a team that just won a premiership and put essentially all teams bar Collingwood to the sword along the way. And obviously, we still beat Collingwood, but it wasn't a convincing one. We put every single team to the sword to get there. And the team has gotten deeper and better, you'd argue, despite Joel's absence. So old age is the only thing that's going to interfere, I think.
And look, Joel wouldn't have got any better this year. He probably would have gone backwards a little bit more. But I've got the Cats being, I haven't changed my position on this either. I've got the Cats being a runner-up, real heartbreaker, close grand final. And I've got the D's. So basically flipping it really. I've got the D's.
I've got the D's finishing first on the ladder, but I don't think they'll make the premiership, the grand final.
Really? Yeah. Well, I must have misheard you. So I've got the D's beating the Cats in a nail biter, which breaks my heart a little bit. So we'll see what happens. We can. What is it? Not many days to go now. We may have a mid-season review video where we might come back together again and review and see if we still sticking to our guns on some of these things, or we might. You can change it. I don't mind, but this is now inked. Well, not inked. What do you? It's on. It's for public access.
Pencil.
Yeah, it's in pencil. Whatever.
Early access. Yeah.
Exactly. Your most improved Cat for 2023. Who do you reckon is going to make a big leap? Maybe they've already made a big leap and they're going to make another one. Who do you reckon is the one we all need to be looking out for this year?
Jeez. I mean, the reality is I feel like it's going to be one of the young blokes that we just don't actually see still out on the field all that much.
Okay.
Anyway, I think it's going to be one of those sort of years because of how strong the team is that we're going to see the likes of Ollie Dempsey and those sort of guys absolutely lighting it up in the VFL, but they'll never actually, they'll get a couple games here and there, but they won't really get the chance to crack that 23 that's going to go on and hopefully play in the premiership,
right?
Simply because of the depth that the club has got. So I feel like it'll be an Ollie Dempsey. Certainly all the early reporting would suggest that from the preseason. I could see Max Holmes being that really, I mean, he is obviously a starting 23 player. I could see him becoming statistically, he was the number one wingman in the comp for the back half of the season, which is absolutely insane. Yeah. But he will have bulked up a little bit. And he does seem to have bulked up a little bit. He's going to refine the craft, and he's going to also be coming back with a bit of a fire in the belly, having unfortunately missed the grand final. I think he's probably my number one, but don't
Max Holmes
lose sight of the Ollie Dempseys and those sorts of blokes that are going to be playing the seconds most of the year, but are going to be absolutely dominating in that space, I think.
I like that. I like the Ollie Dempsey one. I think you could be right too, that he might have a remarkable season and just be desperately unlucky not to be playing every game in the senior squad. But if he has a great season, that's fantastic, because that means that we've got a good one for next year as well, and you just know those opportunities are going to come, and he'll be cherry ripe. Now, look, I've gone with an established. Well, let's call him established. Well, yeah, I'm going with Zach Guthrie too. He made a significant jump last year. He was almost out the door. I think it's probably fair to say, and he'd probably say the same thing too. He was one of those fringe players. Is he going to make it? And he really did. And by the end of the year, he would have been one of the first 15 picked, I reckon, in that squad. And he just was. I think he's going to take it to an even higher level next year. So I think for me, he's the big one that will probably make the most significant jump of everyone. But I've got a few other balls to fire, so we'll get that. I'll save that for the next one. Who do you think's going to be All-Australian from the Catters? Are we going to have the same number? Would it be 5 last year? Are we going to have 5 again? Who have you got as an All-Australian into 2023?
I've got a feeling that Danger's really going to explode again this year.
Really? That's a big call.
Yeah, I really feel like he's ready to rip the comp apart again. He proved it in the finals where the club had given him his time to get the body right, and he came back, spent a couple of games just working his way into it, and then when it counted, he just took off. And now he's coming into the season fit. And based on all his media stuff already, the captaincy is absolutely suiting him. So he's absolutely just loving every moment of it, and I think he'll come in and absolutely blow a few teams away single-handed. And that is a byproduct in part because of the strength of the rest of the team around him, the midfield group around him. You can't ignore a Tom Atkins. You can't ignore Cam Guthrie. You can't ignore Blitzarves if they're in, using, I guess, my starting midfield that I picked there.
Sure.
Because they'll get you as well. And so Danger's just going to tear a few teams up, I think, at different points. And I think he'll be awfully close if he doesn't make it.
Okay.
But around that, I mean, your staples, your Tom Stewarts will be there.
Yeah, okay.
Jeremy Cameron and Hawke seem fairly obvious candidates. You'd imagine they will, again, be kicking 50-plus for the year at least. I think Cameron is probably the Coleman medalist at the end of the year.
That's probably him or...
Stengel again?
Possibly. It's hard for the small forwards to back it up. There's a lot of it is being opportunistic, isn't it, as a small forward? I guess
he hasn't missed a beat though, based on the preseason.
He hasn't. He's amazing.
Look, and again, the beautiful thing though, yes, there's an opportunist component, but also you've got to have the tall forwards that help facilitate that. And you get lots of gun small forwards in teams where the tall forwards aren't great.
That's right.
And so the tall forwards get completely beaten up in the contest, and so the ball doesn't hit the ground like it should. Whether it's the tall forward kind of bringing it down right in front, or even just getting it to the ground somehow so that small forward can kind of weave their magic.
Exactly.
I mean, we all love Eddie Betts, but he was very, very fortunate to have at Carlton, Fev. He went to Adelaide. He had Tex. And Josh Jenkins and a whole bunch of them that could just get that ball to the ground if they couldn't take it themselves.
That's right.
And so, for as brilliant as he is, you could take a lot of goals off his tally if he didn't have those sorts of tall forwards there. So
that'll be interesting to see.
Similar story here, I think.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how he goes.
Not to put down Stengel or Eddie Betts in any way, shape, or form.
No.
But it certainly helps when you've got some really gun tall forwards to help create those opportunities for you.
Oh, sure does. Mate, look, I've gone with Jeremy Cameron, obviously, as an All-Australian. Tom Stewart, the two safe bets for me. I haven't got Tom Hawkins in that group, but and this kind of leads to my previous point. I've got Zach Guthrie becoming an All-Australian for the first time. I think he's going to show enough. He's another 10 or 15% improvement. He's going to get him over the line, and he'll be. There's always one or two, probably even more than that. They pop up and say, "How he's an All-Australian?" Because you've got to become an All-Australian for the first time at some time. So I think he's got it within him to do it. So he's exciting, and he lays a few hits these days. You don't want to get hit by Zach Guthrie. He's coming for you hard. The other one was Max Holmes. I think I've got Max Holmes there as an All-Australian this year as well. I think he's ready to go. Was he third or fourth year now? So
yeah,
he's ready to let rip. Now I jumped ahead a little bit. I was going to. Sorry, you go.
SDK. I'll throw one more in
Oh,
there.
SDK,
Sam DeConing.
Just had him missing again. So
again, like Mays and those sorts of guys are going to be about.
Yeah.
But I don't think Lever will be in that conversation anymore. I think he kind of falls off a little bit this year, despite my position on where Melbourne's going to finish ladder wise. And there's no one else that's really kind of dominating their opponents like Sam DeConing has been, and now he's got a bit of a sniff of what he can do going the other way.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Yeah.
And I don't mean just the goal in the grand final, because obviously that was a bit of a Joe the Goose take the piss sort of thing at the end of the grand final. But like he's added a bit of an attacking flair. He's starting to play that kind of Scar like sort of game where he's there and he's a headache to deal with in the defensive end, but then he's willing to go for a run up the other end afterwards.
Just float around and kick a goal too.
Yeah.
I did jump ahead. I was going to ask you before the All-Australians, who do you think will be our Carji Greaves medalist at the end of the year?
I mean, actually, I think it might be Danger.
Danger? That's probably fair.
I'll go that. That's kind of mirroring my confidence in him as an All-Australian this year. I think Danger might be right there. Yeah,
I reckon I'm going to stay on the Max Holmes thing. I think it'll be Max Holmes, his first Carji Greaves medal. It'll be pretty close between him and Jezza, I think. But I think Max is going to have a cracker of a year. And we'll take it out.
Is this the question you didn't put in the actual write up here? We've both kind of like, how sure are you that Jez is going to be our leading goal kicker? Because we've both kind of gone down the same path.
I'm 100%.
Walker's now 12 years in a row.
I'm 100% certain. It was only because Jezza didn't have the best grand final. Kicked a couple. Hawkins did kick 3?
Hawkins kicked a few. So and he'd already built the lead at that point. Hawkins got the job done in the prelim.
That's right. Good kick straight to start with that prelim, but ended up still with like 3 or 4 goals. So, but no, I've definitely 100% take it to the bank. It'll be Jeremy Cameron. The Hawkins, the reign of King of Geelong goal kicking award is going to end this year. I think I love Tom Hawkins. I absolutely love the bloke, but I also love Jezza too, and I think it's Jezza's turn to take the mantle. Mate, anyone else we've missed that you want to touch on before we start talking about our predictions for the rest of the AFL, which is maybe what a few people are really hanging on here. All right, let's